कनेक्टिंग ही आ रहा है। अच्छा, सब लोग ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं।
Okay, we are live.
अच्छा,
Yes.
where can we see who all are there? That is not possible.
हाँ,
You can't view all.
अच्छा,
Yeah.
okay,
Basically, right side you can see attendees to see list of
okay,
people. Yeah.
अच्छा,
Okay.
yeah.
So good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 10th polygonal session. And today, basically, we are doing this session after a really long time. And in between this time, we took a break. And in the break, we have also launched the YouTube channel with all the recordings of previous talks. So if you have not checked it out, you can check it out. The link is on the Instagram page. And from today, another series starts. Today we have Nakul, Vidyadhar, Santosh, and their startup is a social enterprise called Earth and Tunes. Their product, which is a footwear, is connecting craft and a solution for farmers through design. And what is really interesting about today's session is they will not just show us their product and how it works, but they'll also tell us about their journey, their research, how they worked on it for a really long time. Okay, so good luck to Earth and Tunes team.
thank you.
Over to you. I'll go off stage and you can present.
Thanks, Bhaga.
Thanks, Bhargav.
Thanks, Madhu.
So, guys, for people who are not, have never seen our faces, I'll just tell you that we three are actually from 2013 batch of transportation automobile design from NID Gandhinagar. we we started. We came together in 2018, 1 year after we graduated in 2017, and that's when we founded Earth and Tunes. So, my our opinion as a team was that it will be more interesting to talk about the journey rather than just about the product, because we are fed up, honestly, of the elevator pitches and the pitches we do for investment where it's all just numbers. We thought we will go a bit on the design side so that even the audience would, I mean, the audience are intelligent enough to understand this. So I'll just share my screen. Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so the first question generally we get is तुम लोग ट्रांसपोर्टेशन डिजाइनर्स हो, तुम लोग कार से चप्पल क्यों बना रहे हो? So I'll just give a background of why actually we started Earth and Tunes. So way back in I think 2016, 15, when we were searching for our graduation projects, most of them actually found something which was so-called co-transportation. And if few of you in the Gandhinagar campus would be aware that most of the people in transportation design dream of working for an exotic car or a bike company. But honestly, just to say, due to lack of options or any offers, me and one of my other friend, Krishna Kumar Goekar, actually had to join a startup in Bombay. And they were carrying out two very different projects, which are not like what we would generally call co-transportation, which is like an electric bicycle and a wheelchair. Uh, Neither of us were actually interested in the wheelchair because we were always under the mood that we need to keep sketching and get into a co-transportation company which is more in styling oriented. But due to circumstances, I had to take up that project. And one good thing we and the I and as a company did was we followed design process. Uh, I would say like very religiously, and incidentally, after 2 years, the result was quite good. The wheelchair got good press coverage, and बहुत lucky. resound आ रही है.
तुम्हारा म्यूट पे है ना, म्यूट पे करो तो ये वो होगा। जब तुम बोल नहीं रहे म्यूट पे रखो, वरना ये वो होगा, ठीक होगा।
So somewhere in the timeline of the wheelchair, even Nakul and Vidyadhar had joined to help us in different parts of the wheelchair. In fact, Vidyadhar had come up with a very novel way for the folding of the wheelchair, and Nakul had come up with an excellent design for the joystick of the wheelchair. So we felt that there is a possible synergy here, and that's the first time we thought uh, design thinking or our education can have applications just beyond cars and styling. And this project actually opened up our horizons. We thought, if it is this effective, why don't we try something which is on the social angle? And also this, during this wheelchair project, speaking to people, mainly the specially abled, it kind of changed our mindset. We felt design could have a much larger impact. And truth be told, what we thought during our college times felt very naive and immature. Trying to design a car company for a brand which even doesn't exist in India. And there was some sort of gratification also because of the products that we were making. So a lot of buzz around that time, and it's still going on, was the problems faced by Indian farmers. So we three of us, in fact, Nakul and Vidyadhar were working for Railway Design Center in NID at that point of time. They quit, and all three of us met in Hyderabad, and we thought, we weren't sure what to do, but we thought we'll do something for farmers. So that is what we would like to discuss here. That is just an approximate map of the places we have been. It actually doesn't cover every place. The Agra and Bombay and all that is covered, but we did go around quite a bit. Even before arriving at where we are, the whole journey took for close to, I would say, 12 to 18 months, on and off in villages, and always in constant touch with people in footwear. But before we even arrived at the footwear problem, we didn't want to gauge what are the problems that farmers are facing sitting at our home. And certainly not through literature research, because all of you would know that literature research comes very much later in design process. So one thing we were very sure was we didn't know much, and the only way we could know is go and spend time with them. So what we planned was we would research or interact with people in the complete supply chain of farming. So just to say, from the when the farmer sows his seeds until the point where we get the food on our table, we wanted to understand the whole supply chain. And there was always a notion, right, that bhai bahut problem hai. We weren't, only during our research did we realize how big the problems were. So just to start off, we started off in Maharashtra in around summer 2018, and we first ended up in Nanded, which was actually Nakul's hometown as well. And we would just set out early in the morning, because it was peak summer, and we would just go and talk to people. There was no agenda. There was nothing like aap kuch problems face karte ho. It is just going, sitting with them and observing. So we came over a lot of interesting stuff. In fact, that was a time when organic farming was picking up. Just to give you an idea, the photograph on the left is actually one of the farmers. Is my voice breaking?
It's audible, properly audible.
Properly
Go.
audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So it is actually one of the farmers showing us how actually you can gauge a healthy soil. If the soil is quite healthy and fertile, if you just dig probably 1 inch, you will actually find earthworms and some sort of living organisms, which actually shows that the soil is thriving. And this was something new, because I grew up in a city environment where we hardly find soil like that here. And there were other things, like we found this amazing banana farm in a place in Baramati. Baramati is in case you heard of Sharad Pawar, it is his hometown, where it is one of the cleanest farm we have ever been to. And this is actually during like mid-afternoon or so, but because of the denseness of the banana farm, the light doesn't penetrate through. Then apart from the farming part, we also, as I mentioned, we got exposed to the supply chain. So, you know, we went to understand what is the kind of packaging that happens for grains. That is when we came to know insights that actually grains are sold after being stored for 1 year or so. And this is where, during speaking to these warehouse or godown owners, we realized that almost 10% of the grain that they have goes in wastage due to rodents. So, you know, somewhere around you start finding out, you know, the problem issues, and we were just keeping a note of them. We were not getting biased towards anything, but silently we were just making note of them. The second one was what you see here is actually a turmeric APMC. In case you were reading about the farm laws, you would have heard of an APMC. It stands for Agricultural Produce and Marketing Committee. It's basically, if farmer grows something, he doesn't directly sell to the consumer. He comes to an APMC, which is controlled by the state government, and he sells his mal, or, you know, his goods there. And then the, you know, the middlemen come and buy it. So the middlemen, which you keep listening, that, you know, middlemen cause problems, middlemen eat away the margins. We actually saw this happening live, where these few gentlemen here formed a lobby, and they were making sure that the turmeric is not auctioned beyond a price. Ideally, the auction price should be according to the demand which is there in the market, but that wasn't happening here. And we also found a lot of problems with packaging. As I said, in terms of rodent, there's a lot of stuff which actually goes bad when it is being transported also. In case you have ever been to a mandi during early morning when they're unloading the fresh fruits and the vegetables, a lot of it actually goes away in damage. So these kind of things also came to light. A lot of gunny sacks, though they're being used from a very long time, are actually, they absorb moisture like crazy, but they're still used for packaging grains. So a lot of paradoxes, a lot of contradictions. And but then, while we were going around all of this, we went to various places. We went to, as I was mentioning, Nanded was one. Then we went to Baramati, Varda, a lot of villages surrounding these places. That's when we realized that we were not the only people who were trying to do something. There were a lot of other people. Like the person who seen here, unfortunately, I don't have a better picture. He's a very famous person known as Subhash Palekar. He is actually an advisor presently for the central government and various state governments also on how to promote natural farming. And the people who you see sitting here are actually farmers. The great thing about this guy is actually he interacts with farmers closely, and he always keeps on getting feedback from them. He advises them on how to take out natural farming, but also he also understands from them of good practices which can be implemented among them. For example, he gives a very interesting natural way to keep away wild boars. Wild boars are a huge problem in farms. They actually come and they just dig down and they destroy the whole crop. So one of the farmer gave a suggestion, and he noted it down so that he can share it with other farmers in another region of India. And we also found the central government was doing something very interesting called ENAM. They were basically trying to digitize this whole form of APMC thing, so that the bidding or the auctioning doesn't happen locally, but it happens. Let us say, for example, I'm a farmer and I produce 20 kgs of tomato. They are not bid by just the local middlemen, but they are bid all over India in a digital and a fair manner, and I get the best price. So this was being piloted in Varda in one of the APMCs. It was very interesting to look at. So overall, through all of this time, we came up across a lot of problems. We actually watered it down to 20 problems, which we thought, you know, would make sense, or what we thought had a lot of potential. There are a few videos. In case you guys are interested, I can show you. You can just let me know if they're like short videos.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. This is actually a very interesting thing which was happening. It's an organization called Pani Foundation, which is run by Amir Khan, the actor Amir Khan. And these people were trying to solve the drought problems in the arid regions of Maharashtra. A lot of it is actually drought prone. And what Pani Foundation was doing is it takes the help of the local villagers and encourages them to solve their own problems. So what these people do is they do basic form of water harvesting, some form of afforestation, building local ponds, so that when it rains, the water doesn't just run off, but it is there for them to be used in the next few months. We also tried some crazy stuff. Like I tried to learn how to drive a tractor. This was some part of Nanded. This again because we are also trying to understand how the machinery works for the farmers, and we also found that there is a huge dependency on tractors. In case one of you have some doubts about tractors, we can discuss them later also. But this addressing the problem of tractors would be one of the projects of Earthen Tunes in the next probably coming few years. Because like tractors are a Western thing, and right now they're being forced quite. And honestly, the small and marginal farmers, which are close to 85% of Indian farmers, they can't afford using a tractor. So we came back after this, and we just started collating all the data we have, typical to how we do in design process. We were trying to understand where the issues are. And then we carried out our first literature research just to understand how large are these problems. When it comes to, there were other issues. So there are a lot of issues, like water was one of them, then machinery, packaging, uh, in fact, the attire that these people wear, the kind of conditions that they work in. So from all of this, we shortlisted 5, and we did like in-depth research on them. And these 5 are actually the crux of what Earthen Tunes is. First of that project is the footwear one. The next one, as I said, is the farm machinery. The third one is we'll be looking at polyhouse and probably solving the apparently 98% of rural women are anemic, and that is due to because a lack of nutritional security. So there's a possibility of coming up with a solution which could be integrated with a polyhouse. The next one is और क्या थे रे?
Urban farming.
Next one is urban farming, which actually is what Urban Kisan has become now. But yeah, something on those lines. But this we envisioned like two years ago. And packaging तो बोल दिया था. So close to 5 projects is what we zeroed upon, and we felt footwear was the first thing which we need to address. Now, why is that actually? Generally, actually, these farmers would never tell you that they have issues with their footwear. It is that you have to observe them, and that brings me to our next topic is bina chappal ke. So walking barefoot is like a very normal thing in rural India, and generally people have this very romantic notion, right, saying ki you're in touch with the earth, it's good for your health. Probably 2 decades ago that was true, but the kind of conditions that these people work in as of now is is actually quite bad. It's like chemically prone. The soil is not soft because of a lot of years of chemical usage, fertilizers, and that the soil tends to become harder and harder. And apart from that, the snake bite thing, apparently 50,000 people die every year due to snake bites, and 98% of them are in India. 50,000 means it's more than AIDS. And WHO recently even declared snake bites to be like a neglected tropical disease. Apart from that, 1.5 million people actually suffer from diseases which are caused due to walking barefoot. Now, diseases will not be apparent straight away. Generally, what happens is over a period of time, the farmers realize, because the cracks start getting bigger, and that causes a lot of issues. There is a possibility of the chemicals seeping in through skin allergies, fungal infections, and such things. So just to give you an idea, like this is like a cluster of farmers we met in Tandur. This is a paddy field on the right. On the left is actually organically grown vegetables. There could be snakes here, but these people only walk barefoot by just clapping. Unfortunately, people believe clapping and such things can drive away snakes, but snakes are, as everyone know, deaf. They per se don't have ears, and their sound perception is not that great, especially if the ground is soft. So these people walk, and here also they work barefoot. And we again felt, is there a possibility that we are just having this notion that it is difficult to work, and we actually got down into that barefoot, and it wasn't comfortable at all. Now people would say, why are you saying this? Farmers are used to working from a long time. They are, they should be able to work barefoot. It is not so. They do try working with slippers and such things, but this is how they generally end up in. They start accumulating a lot of mud or clay, and the footwear starts become heavy. So just to get out of this problem, they leave their slippers outside or their footwear outside. And it's very interesting. This guy is like 75 years old, and he still walks, and even his feet weren't in a great condition, but he just does it because these people have tried out and they just given up that there, nothing is going to be made for them. Second thing, we also did a market research just to understand what are the footwear that is available for the farmers. They are actually watered down inferior versions of what was a trend in urban India 2 to 3 years ago. For example, if I go to rural India right now, most of the stuff that sells is what was as a trend in urban India. In urban India, they have reached economies of scale. So they're able to drop down the price much lower, and then they start selling the inferior versions of them. So just to test this hypothesis, we bought actually local footwear, 3 to 4 what generally the farmers use, and we tried using them. That's us actually walking in like highly fertile black soil in Kolhapur in rainy season, where it is like horrific to walk, and this is how your slippers will end up. This causes a lot of other issues. Actually, it causes strain on your feet, chafing, bites, and such things. So we tried our best to understand the problem. As I said, we tried walking barefoot as much as possible. It wasn't comfortable at all. So we knew that there was something which needed to be done. And just to reiterate the point, once we actually finalized our brief that we want to work on footwear, we again actually went to villages. So this is the second time. So we went to Kolhapur, we went to Tandur, which is a place near Telangana. There again, we started researching, but only with footwear as a focus. Previous to this, it was just like generic research to find the brief. But here it was more like specific in terms of footwear. Here again, we also tried to meet the whole supply chain, not just the farmers. We went to the local retail shops, we went to the local distributors, we spoke to manufacturers, and there, in fact, this footwear which you see is actually called a traditional Tandur footwear. It is made by the local artisans from buffalo leather and recycled tires. So as a footwear, it's a great thing, but you cannot use it inside the fields. And so over a period of time, this started dying down, although it has great properties. In fact, a well-made Tandur slipper can last for 2 years, but no one wants to buy them. And the artisans are like seriously on, like you hardly find any of them. Yeah, so we wrapped up this this research, and now we knew what the problem was. We knew what are the requirements, but instead of jumping directly onto plastics, as generally what is the kind of norm in rural or generally in footwear, we thought, why not we look for a local solution? Because we started off with this notion that if it's a local problem, there has to be a local solution. So this was when we started searching for a material. This hopefully we find a material which is water resistant, but it's also natural. It can keep the person comfortable. So for this again, we went close to, I think, in winter of 2018, we set out somewhere around November. And that's when Anand, one of our batchmates, joined us. And this is actually a guest house in a bush forest in a place called Wardha. Wardha is actually one of the very arid regions of Maharashtra. It is, but there was actually an NGO called Dharamitra here, who have been trying to provide alternate forms of employment to local people because most of the local people have stopped farming. So one of their endeavor was they work in pulp-based materials. Basically, they work in cotton, banana fiber, and jute, and they make boards, papers, and such things. So we thought, why not we try making footwear out of these, because that has never been tried. And always whenever we were trying this out, it was not just the uh, aesthetics, of course, they never came, but it was more of a functional approach. We had 5 to 6 properties, and the material had to at least work well in at least 3 of them. So we stayed here. Dharamitra is actually run by a very famous guy called Dr. Tarak Kate. He works with rural women. He's actually an Ashoka Fellowship, Ashoka awardee, I guess. He's an old guy, but he was kind enough to say that you stay in our facility for a couple of weeks and try out these materials. We don't have any issue. So these are actually the materials which we did, and these are actually the first prototypes of the footwear we made. So this is jute plus paper. We were trying out different iterations, like in terms of slippers. We tried close type footwear, like in these 2 cases, but the results weren't great. But we still believe these could be great slippers, and probably more like on the urban side, especially the banana fiber looks nice also, but it wasn't reaching for the requirement that we were looking at, a material which can help farmers. So then next what we did is we set off to Kerala, because we knew we had a lot of friends from Kerala, and we knew that Kerala has like a wealth of natural fibers. So that is when we came in touch with an NGO called Kids. They are actually they actually provide employment for single mothers, specially abled women, and old women around their region, around, I think, some cluster of villages around them. And he is actually the bishop, or the head of the church. I'm sorry if I use the wrong word. He's the head of the church there, and they run this as an NGO. And the products that they make are actually sold to Fab India, IKEA, and such things. So we worked with them for, I think, a couple of weeks. This is not the first time that NIDians work with them, actually. So they work mainly in screw pine and water hyacinth. So we felt screw pine could have an application of what we are looking at, because it has a bit of water resistant and such things. So we tried making footwear, but incidentally we also got our hands on what is known as felted coir. Felted coir is actually a very soft form of coir. It is more flexible. So we made this footwear, which is actually a base of felted coir with screw pine as the upper, completely hand woven by the women in Kids itself. And incidentally, it was the first time they ever worked on footwear as well. And although the design was ours, the skill and everything was theirs. We actually tried finding a market for this footwear. We were looking at premium 5-star hotels and such things, but we generally call this ghosting, which has happened to us a lot of times. People respond, they say, yeah, the footwear looks great, but they never get back to you. So we actually approached hotels such as Meridian, Marriott, and all, but they never got back, unfortunately. The cool thing about actually this footwear is actually it's waterproof, and it's completely sustainable. Even the thread that is used for stitching is also natural. And this is, I feel this is a place which every NIDian or anyone involved with craft should visit once, Kids, because they actually have a whole museum where they show this different kinds of materials they have worked with and the different kinds of weaves. And we were just stunned that the amount of, just the variety of materials they had there, and the kind of workmanship that is available, but no one is leveraging it. In fact, they work with a lot of materials, but hardly, I think, 4 or 5 are what they're presently working with. The others they have just given up, because the lack of market, I don't know, lack of marketing, maybe few of the other NIDians could pick this up and do something great about it. So this is just the footwear I was talking about. This is one of the prototypes. The other ones, this is again screw pine with coir cloth. Sorry, with ये क्या था नकुल?
It was jute.
Jute. Jute. So we tried out a few iterations. So after this, we went to a place called CCRI, which is Central Coil Research Institute, which is in Alleppey, which comes between Kochi and Alleppey. We went to CCRI twice actually. This is our visit from the second time. First visit is when we got the needled and a felted fiber, coir fiber from them. Second time, we pitched to them saying, you know, we want to work with coir as a material for footwear, and they gave us accommodation again in their facility for about 2 weeks. So we tried out various stuff there. We tried out with coir fabric, just powdered form of which is called coir dust. We tried to make soles out of them. We tried to make footwear out of coir rope, such things. So we made, I think, around close to 4 or 5 prototypes. And we were again trying to see if coir would fit our requirement as a footwear material, as a material for the shoe. But again, coir was good, but it was too rough to be worn on, you know, bare skin. And it was a slightly on the expensive side as well. But in spite of that, we did actually bring some prototypes home. And we made footwear for women, which is actually there on our website in case you would go and check it out. The right side is actually one of the women we met in an interior part of a village close to Alleppey. The awesome thing about Kerala is you will always find small clusters who are employing local women to work on a craft. So this woman here, actually, she works for a Mutt. Mutt is actually a Hindu, you could say like a monastery kind of a thing, which is run by a head seer. The Mutt there actually supports all the local women to take up crafts based on the local fibers. So these people work in water hyacinth again, they work in coir. And although I wasn't good at Malayalam, she allowed me, and we did observe the weaving. She was actually making mats out of water hyacinth. So all in all, I think we explored close to 15 natural fibers. And somewhere in between, someone mentioned that there was this wool, which is actually naturally water resistant and is actually used to make blankets, and it is used throughout the year. So we thought, you know, this can't be true. It must be like a myth or something which keeps going around. And just to check whether this is true or not, we drove down to Nagpur, and that's when we actually got our hands on desi wool. So desi wool, what we got our hands on is actually called Deccanese wool. It's unfortunately we found that it's not documented very well. Even in like textile engineering and all, also like people whom we met, they weren't aware of this material. But then once we started getting deep into it, we understood that this material has a lot of potential. So it's truly like magic what this wool is. And to understand the water resistant property of this, we put a blanket on Nakul's head, and we actually poured water on it from a jar, and it didn't go through for a very long period of time. In fact, we came to know later that the blankets woven from this wool last for 25 to 30 years. They become softer, the color doesn't fade away, they are used throughout the year, in summer, winter and rainy. In fact, it stops medium to small rains. In fact, the people protect themselves by the pastoral community. Actually, sorry, I missed out the point. This is actually sheared by a specific 4-5 communities of shepherds who rear the specific kind of sheep. It's called Nallagore. Nallagore literally translates to black sheep in Telugu. It's a specific breed which is indigenous or local to the Deccan Plateau. You wouldn't find it anywhere in the world actually. It gives out a very coarse form of wool, but the wool has amazing properties. And the cool thing about it is, because the breed is from the arid regions of Deccan Plateau, the wool adapts for the heat. And that wool has been used to make blankets for almost at least documented, it is there since Shivaji's time, Chhatrapati Shivaji. And those blankets were considered to be royal, something of value, and they would be given as gifts to a lot of people. But over a period of time, these blankets started being replaced by their plastic counterparts. Even though wool is known to have therapeutic benefits, people just, I don't know why it is lost. In fact, wool is, if you sleep on wool blanket, it is apparently known to reduce asthma, reduce arthritis, help with the body pains, a lot of amazing things. But somehow it got lost, and unfortunately, the weavers that we spoke to, they are of the last generation. Their average age is 60 years, and the breed of sheep which produces this wool is being replaced by sheep which produces only meat. So the craft is on the verge of extinction. So this is the kind of sheep we are talking about, and this is the fleece just after it's sheared from the sheep. That fleece is actually carded and spun into a yarn by the women, which is very interesting. Actually, it's a good ecosystem in the villages. This aspect of the blanket making is only taken care by the women, where and in you would say probably a decade ago, when the blankets were in demand, this was a form of employment for them as well. You know, the income would be shared among the family, and everyone works on it. So even to this day, the practices that are used for carding and spinning of yarn are very old, and it is fascinating to even look at them. You can see that they're very rudimentary, but they have a bit of an elegance to it. And as we keep on ranting around in the world that sustainability is required, everything that these people do is sustainable. You know, the charka is made from wood. There is not a bit of plastic or metal involved. Similar thing in here. This is अभी इसको क्या बोलते हैं नकुल?
No idea, but it's a kind of a spindle.
Yeah, it's kind of a spindle, again made from wood. Everything they use is actually sustainable. And then the yarn is given to the male in the village, and it is woven on a pit loom. This pit loom is documented to be one of the oldest form of looms in the world. Everything is done manually, at least the weaving part, by just one person. Typical blanket takes at least 4 to 5 days to be woven, and it is actually woven with a lot of care and love. That is the reason a blanket woven on this loom lasts for 25 to 30 years, because it's very tightly woven. And just the whole process of making a gongadi from the blanket, woolen blanket, which is called gongadi, from the shearing to the blanket making takes close to a month. And on the right side, these are actually the tools that are used. This is called it's a basic form of a scissor, which is actually used to shear the sheep. On the right side is actually a comb. The comb has a very interesting use. The yarn of this woolen blankets are actually treated with a tamarind paste to give them a bit of softness and also to enhance the properties of water resistance. And that paste is applied using this comb. This again is completely sustainable, made from locally available materials. This was at one point of time one of India's largest, or in fact South Asia's largest woolen blanket market, where people from, apparently we read about it, it's now in quite a bad state. Apparently people from all over the world, Asia, would come to trade in blankets here. But right now it is just limited to one room, and hardly, I think, कितने होंगे रे Mandy Nakul यहाँ पे? Maybe 60 to 70 weavers.
100, yeah.
Maybe 100 weavers.
Yeah.
And they come and sell their blankets. This is the only place right now in India where actually a blanket market happens for pure woolen woven blankets. Just to iterate the point of what a bad state the craft is in, these are actually old machines which were installed for carding and such things by the government or by cooperatives, and this is the state that they are in right now, unused or used just for a couple of months, badly maintained, because there is no, the whole system of the woolen blankets and the craft has collapsed. So we felt wool has a possibility since our first discovery in Nagpur to a village called Navargaon, where we got our first samples of the wool, to all these places around Hyderabad and such things. We felt wool has a possibility of being a material for us. So that is when our first attempt at making footwear actually happened. This was actually a crochet done by Nakul. Nakul actually learned crochet for this, and he actually knit a footwear out of this. So this is one of our first prototypes, and we always needed prototypes for others to understand as well, for weavers and such things, to ask them whether they can work on this, because they would always say no. Most of the weavers we met, and I was told that this is applicable to few other crafts also, because they really don't have the patience to sit and do R&D with you. It's rozi roti ka hai unka, so they will not entertain you until they see a prototype live in front of them. So this was one of the first prototypes we used to take it to people and show it to them. But the results are quite good actually. The knitted footwear had a lot of amazing properties. It was flexible, but the only downside of that was knitting one footwear took close to 6 to 8 hours. So we thought, this is a problem probably because Nakul is new to knitting. So we tried out knitting with a few other women self-help groups as well. We asked them, we gave them wool, and we told them, can you knit it for us? But even the best of the best people who could knit, it took them at least 4 hours. So we thought, probably this is not something which we can apply for farmers, because the cost will be exorbitantly high. So we thought, why not we take these blankets, and from blankets itself we cut patterns and try to make a shoe. So this is one of our first early prototypes. We took one of the woolen blankets and we made a shoe. This was another attempt at knitting, but again the results were very mediocre. So the problem here was neither of us were even good at footwear per se. All of what we did was we learned from internet of basic pattern making. It wasn't me actually, it mainly Nakul and Vidyadhar only. So they learned the basics of pattern making, and we would try out different patterns because we didn't know, we knew what the farmer's requirement were, but we wanted to come up with a pattern which will be perfect for them. So we were trying out different types of laces. We wanted to give you would have seen that people don't use this, like they put their feet on the counter and they use this as a shoe. So we made, I think, close to 11 to 12 iterations, and this was kind of like the final one which we had. And this was the time around which we were applying for incubation from various institutes. No one actually replied to us because footwear for farmers wasn't even a problem for most of them. They were more into agri-tech and such things. But luckily, IIT Madras replied to us saying, this project seems interesting. You come and join us, but we will not give you full incubation as of now. You have to show us the market viability. And this is what they told us. Bech ke dikhao. We will give you a 3-month incubation period. If you're able to show us that you can sell it, we will provide you full incubation and funding. So now the challenge was, we had the shoe, but how do we mass manufacture it, at least to a scale, and test it among the farmers? So we had this idea, we had to drop it for now, but we will certainly pick it up later. Is we want our shoe to be built or constructed by self-help groups. Because our whole vision for footwear is it needs to be circular. So at some point of time in the future, the wool is sourced locally, the shoe is made by the women in the villages, and it is worn by the farmers. This is what we feel. This is how traditionally it used to happen, but it died down due to various reasons. So keeping this in mind, we actually designed patterns which are easy to be stitched, to be taught, to people, and this is one of the SHG we worked with in Chennai. It goes by the name of Montford. These are women who actually are on the lower below poverty level line, so they stay kind of in slums, and we try to work with them. And this is actually a shoe they built in one day with just basic training from us. So the result was good, but we still didn't feel it was at a level where we could actually take it to a market and test it. So we had to park the idea momentarily of getting it done with rural women, and we went to a place called Ambur, which is about 100 kilometers, I think, from Chennai. In fact, 100-kilometer radius around Chennai is one of India's largest. It is the India's largest leather market or leather manufacturing units. They manufacture various accessories with leather, but mainly it is footwear. You find all big brands actually get their footwear done here. Clarks, Hush Puppies, Superdry, all the leather footwear are made in India actually. So we went to them and we told them, this is the material we have. Can you make a shoe for us? But most of them said no, because it's a fabric. None of them work in fabric. All their machines, everything is tuned for leather. So we had to go 2 to 3 times, plead with people, and finally found an artisan who on a weekend said he'll make 30 pairs for us. So we got our 30 pairs done, and then we set out to sell these. So again, we started off going to villages. Then we started off by again going to Kolhapur, Baramati, Tandur. In fact, we were meeting all the farmers we met before, trying to convince them to wear the shoe, try it out. And during all of this time, we didn't want to give away the shoe for free. And it was a condition also from IIT that we cannot give the shoe away for free, that we had to charge at least some token money. So we tried gauging. The shoe costed us for making around 300. And so we tried to sell it at 350 or so. And incidentally, most of the shoes got sold out. By I think in a couple of weeks, we were able to sell close to 28 out of the 30 pairs. During this pilot also, we just did not try pure wool. The white one you see is actually pure wool. We actually tried out wool blend also. Wool blend is again done by artisans only in rural parts of Karnataka, but they blend it with plastic just for terms of strength. So when we carried out field research, we realized that the pure wool had bit of its limitations, but the blended wool was doing amazing in terms of strength, and all the while without losing most of the properties which pure wool displays. So this was a show. You can see we gave it out to people. There are a lot of small nuances in the design. For example, the sole was quite flexible, so it can be used by the farmers when they're squatting, which is something they love. It has amazing water drainability because it's a weave structure. So water goes in. In fact, it resists water for a long period of time. But let us say it does go in, you can drain it out easily. Apart from that, it actually regulates this. The cool thing about this material, as I mentioned, is it regulates according to the temperature. So whether it was hot, it would keep you comfortable. It was rainy, it would still keep you comfortable. And winter, of course, it would keep you comfortable. So these are just the people we had given the shoes. They liked, most of them liked it. So with this results, we went back to IIT saying, we did what you asked for, you give us incubation. And the whole reason we did that was because hame tag chahiye the. There is a difference between saying that, we are an IIT incubated startup and we are just a startup, unfortunately. So, but IIT was very positive. They offered us incubation immediately. In fact, they funded us for 10 lakhs. And they told us, you have got the market validation. You have to take the product to a level where you can sell it in terms of, thousands. So IIT gave us a very good platform to show our product also. We met a lot of investors, generally people who were very positive about the idea, great feedback. And until now, our focus had always been just on the product, product, because we are all product guys. But this is when we started looking at business also, balance sheets, P&L statements, general costing, economies of scale. And honestly, IIT, I don't know about the other ones, but IIT Madras is an amazing ecosystem for all of this. So this is actually at one of our, we put up a stall in one of the exhibitions which the Prime Minister had visited, and we showed off our product and such things. So, and we also were one of the finalists for Lexus Design Award in 2019. It's called Lexus Design Award 20. We were one of the top 40 in the country, top 5 for social design for social impact, and our footwear was designed was displayed at the Lexus Gallery at Delhi International Airport. So slowly, what we thought as an idea was gaining some traction as well, and we were feeling slightly encouraged. You know, when some guys we respected were telling positive things about it. During this time, it has always been there, and it is part of the journey that we are looking. We are looking to make a snake bite protection footwear. The materials which we researched before, the natural fibers, we couldn't find any alternative for this, but we were able to find some alternatives in additive manufacturing. So for snakebite, we also carried out a parallel research. First thing is we actually visited villages again just to understand how serious this problem is. And to our surprise, we still found out that there were local tantrics who treat people after they are bitten by snakes. Although it has been proven scientifically that snake bites, the only way you can prevent them after a person is bitten is by antivenom. So this is one of the tantric we met in a village, I think near Nizamabad. It was just mind-blowing, the kind of stuff he was telling. So the plate that you see in his hand, according to him, he says if the body still has venom, the plate will stick to your back. And if it falls off, it's an indication that the venom has come off. So having said that, you know, we three never discounted all of these ideas, saying no, these are just superstitions. We gave them a fair hearing, but we might still be naive in saying, but we couldn't find anything which was convincing enough to say that the tantric medication works. And just to again understand this, we visited Madras Crocodile Trust, famously known as Snake Park in India. Madras Crocodile Trust produces 95% of India's venom, which is used for making anti-venom. So they have the largest repository of snakes. They have the best experts. And you guys can Google about Romulus Whitaker. He is the founder of Snake Park. He has done some amazing work for preserving snakes. And the people whom you see here are known as the Irula tribe. This tribe has been known to be associated with snakes for more than 200 years. In fact, outside India, when other countries were facing difficulties in controlling snakes, for example, like tracking rattlesnakes, these were the people who were called to catch them. But in 90s and 80s, the tribe was flourishing even prior to that because there was demand for snake leather. But in 90s, Indian government actually banned snake leather. So overnight, these people became unemployed. So that's when Romulus Whitaker came in. He realized, you know, these people have good association with snakes. Why not we create a cooperative, provide employment to them, and actually extract venom, and which can be used for making anti-venom, which was genius. And he won the Padma Shri, I think. Padma Shri, Tare Nakul? Hello?
I guess so. He won a lot of awards actually.
Yeah, he won a lot of awards.
Reason.
And interestingly, each of these people are given like a card, like a ration card, where they can actually catch 3 snakes per month, and they're paid. For example, like if they catch a Russell Viper, they are paid 700. If they catch a common crate, they are paid 400. They are put in these earthen pots, and the venom is extracted from them. So we went to them. A lot of myths which we had regarding snakes and snake bites got cleared out. And the final direction we got from them is the only effective way to prevent snake bites is to make some sort of protective covering. So based on that, this is the footwear we have made. This is a footwear which is presently being tested along with Madras Crocodile Trust. It will probably be India's first snake-resistant footwear. It is lightweight. It is anything unlike gumboots, which are given to people nowadays, but they are not worn. It is breathable, but it gives you, hopefully provides 100% protection. At least the initial results seem quite positive. So that is kind of like the general journey what we have had until now. This is just like a, a thank you to other people who have helped us. Actually, it was just isn't us three idiots, but there are a bit more of us who always just without thinking about what would happen to them or what unka kya benefit hai, they helped us out. This has been NIDians mainly. Just a few glimpses of our journey we had taken through. This is actually Anand, who is also a batchmate from our batch. He helped us out during, I think, a long stretch of trips. Like he would accompany us, give us like valuable feedback. He would drive because I was the only person who knew driving at that point of time. And this is Mr. Kanna. He works for a NGO called Vasan. He was the person who actually opened us to wool and its possibilities. Amazing guy. He still works with us. And of course, this crazy guy in the left, Chaitanya, any photo that we have is actually documented by him. He also accompanied us on a lot of trips. So it was just wasn't three of us. There were a lot more other NGOs. I did not put up the slide actually. A lot of other people who helped us out in journey, and hopefully we are looking to collaborate with a few more in the coming few years. So yeah, that's our journey. Sorry for taking like a hell lot of time.
That was amazing, Santosh, Nakul, Vidyadhar.
Thanks.
Like very.
Yeah, actually, I 1 second. I forgot to mention Maitre also. Maitre was also very helpful. So yes, second. Yeah.
Yeah, he is here in the audience.
Maitre was the guy who was pivotal for us in Baramati. Maitre and his brother, they
Yeah.
they gave us accommodation. Food. So,
Okay, so I remember when we started Polygon on session, we thought, like every time we'll make a poster, we'll write discipline of the person, the speaker. And every time we have a session, we realize that the idea of discipline actually dilutes after a point. So it's not about like a one discipline or like background of a person. So your journey was really interesting because transportation designer, like materials, footwear, how you learn to new things, and like it was really interesting. So I have many questions.
Just to add that, it's also
yes.
a basic mode of transportation.
Yeah. Okay. So now it's open conversation. Anyone who want to ask anything, you can click on the raise hand button in the right side of your screen. If you are on mobile, you can type your question. So let me ask Pratish. He want to ask something. Okay, Pratish has joined from mobile, and Pratish is asking. We have a footwear shop in Karkala, Udupi. Highly rainy area. Many people buy shoes who work with water and always has this problem. Even though we had waterproof shoes like gumboots, they say if water shoes, they say if water goes inside the shoes, it causes disease. So the question with related to earlier comment is how good this will protect feet in that basis if the wool doesn't dry up. Yeah, that's the question.
Guys, you want to answer? Rahul Mandi.
I think the observation is very right, because whatever footwear as a substitute to the normal footwear, and especially for a rainy season, they have molded footwear. Okay, the problem with the molded footwear like rubber or PVC kind of a thing like a gumboot and all, once the water enters, then there is no way it can come back. and that's where it makes your skin softer throughout the time. The material becomes harder. If it gets cracked, then it gets torn away and you can't actually repair it. You have to throw it away. And you also get another problems of skin, as you said, fungal infection, and then your skin becomes so soft with contact with the water for a long time. A small rub here and there or scratch here and there might cause a wound, or something like that. Our shoes, the first prototype that we saw, in photographs and the journey. During the testing, we came to know that since it's a woven fabric, it has some porous nature. Okay, and the yarn itself is also adheres to that quality. What it makes is it will repel water if there is a pour over of a water, shower type of a way. It will go away. But if you completely immerse in a water, like pond, and you are putting your foot completely inside, then the water will go away. Goes into footwear. But as soon as you lift your foot, it will go away. So what it does is it actually allows water to go away, and that's why your foot is not constantly in contact with the water when we talk about longer periods of time. And the current footwear is much improved than the previous one in terms of the construction, in terms of the durability, or how long it will last and other things. And we also done a SATRA testing, just like ARI testing, which is automotive standards. Just like that, footwear, there are standards. Everybody follow these standards named by SATRA, and we have done those testing at CLRI, Central Leather Research Institute, and we got very positive results. So on that, we can claim you can use it in a water or rainy way. But then it's when we say something, it's not you take that thing granted. Most of the people do that mistake. If you tell them something, they'll take that granted and use it accordingly, but subsequently it will reduce the lifespan or some way or other. So our footwear will work definitely in those situations. But again, it's personal call, to get used to the feedback that your footwear is giving to you, and then use it accordingly for longer life and better protection of your footwear.
Yeah.
Nice. Vidyadhar and Nakul, how was your experience of like making footwear and working with the community? Would you like to share something about it?
Definitely, Nakul.
Nakul,
How
we
Nakul,
can't
you're
hear
muted,
you.
I guess. No, not audible.
Still, we can't hear you. You can click on the like three dots.
नहीं ईयरफोन्स निकाल के ट्राई कर रहे
Yeah, try earphones without earphones.
No, not.
Oh,
Okay, till you find the solution, I'll go with the answer. The thing is in terms of automotive field and all, we know most of the stuff. So we know right people, there is a right industry, and you can approach and all. So when we started making footwear prototypes and all, people were not believing on this idea. Okay, there is something like a natural material can sustain such kind of a rough usage. Even with the blankets, they were like, okay, those are just the blankets which we take while we're sleeping, and just like a blanket, we don't use it to expose it to the background and like climatic condition, environment, soil, and daily rough kind of a use and all. So in that terms, even the makers as well, they were not believing. They were simply saying why don't you go with the leather, why don't you go with the synthetic materials, why don't you go with the canvas material, something like that. And I think Santosh would have mentioned that point, whatever footwear we say right now, they are somewhere or the other mostly made up of plastics only. And if you go to the rural side, those are actually downgraded versions of what urban people are having, and mostly in the plastic. And these days they are having use and throw kind of a thing. So if some cracks go here and there, then you have to throw it away. So what happens here is the guy use the footwear on the basis of money. Let's say he will buy 100 to 200 rupees of footwear. It will last probably for 2 months or max to the 3 months because of the circumstances it's been used. Okay, so at the end of the year, he might have used 5 to 6 pairs, and he might have paid more than 1,000 rupees for a particular thing. But in terms of satisfaction, there is none. So that was the notion, and that is why we are very determined on, no, we want something which is natural. It might face some problem, we will solve those problems, we're working it out, we will find a hook and we'll make something. So Nakul made the first crochet, he learned the crochet and make the first footwear of ET, which we are very confident about. So it took around, to make two pairs, it took around 16 hours or so, just to make that thing happen. And once we showed it to them, then only they started, okay, I think it is possible and we'll do something. But before that they were like कि ये possible ही नहीं है, हो ही नहीं सकता, तुम लोग पागल हो क्या, अभी तक ऐसे किसने किया नहीं है, those kind of stereotype comments we were getting even from the industry people. And visited some good universities and government sectors and all, those were like skeptical about the solution and all. So that was the funda, make yourself first and then show it to the people or the right artisan, so that he can develop that, because he have those skills which for me will take a time, and at the end of the day I still don't know how good that is. So that was trial and error, approaching redesigning until we find the hook.
Okay. And since you all were like, most of your products, your approach was to work with people, did you face questions of like, how will you scale up, or like, how will you maintain quality? How do you ensure, what are the plans? Because the product is about to be launched, right? So I hope you will soon you will have to like scale up and look at the wider market.
True. So first step in that direction was the lab testing, which was, I think, a big thing, because we had to convince CLRI, which is Central Leather Research Institute, to test a fabric. But they did it. So at least there are a few benchmarks. Second thing is, in terms of scaling up, are you talking about the availability of raw material?
Yeah, like the process of making.
Yeah, so in the process of making is, luckily we were able to find people again in Agra. That is a whole part of journey which you did not mention, where there are people who are good at working on fabric, but there isn't much sustainable footwear happening as such. There are very few brands. So they understood the material and they were able to make a good shoe. The one which you see in the photographs or in the press is actually the shoe made by them, and which is close to production. And it is also the one which we got lab tested. So I think mostly in terms of manufacturing, we have standardized a lot of things. We feel QC is an iterative thing. There are no benchmarks for these kind of shoes to actually check. No one has ever made footwear with desi wool.
Yeah.
Right? And the merino wool stuff which you see isn't really just the first idea here. There are other brands outside India who work in merino wool, so probably they could find something to benchmark against. But we don't have any benchmark per se. And secondly, the people whom we are making for. Just to iterate, I don't think one shoe can solve the problems of all farmers. This shoe is just a first idea or first step in that direction. It would be stupid and naive of us to think, or other tunes to think, that one shoe will cater to whole farmers in India.
Right.
So this is one. We have the snake bite. We will, again, there are other possibilities, which I feel a lot of interesting possibilities in terms of weaves and materials.
Yeah.
So
Right.
when we were going around in villages, this is the main thing that happened, right? We got ideas not just for today. We got ideas for next 4 or 5 years, what we could do.
Very
And one
interesting.
more thing, since the product is there and people have seen it and videos and all, they have started believing us. So we are actually having very nice people. I mean, talking about the professional people who can actually help us, to go to achieve that quality which you have benchmark in your mind. Because India is a very diverse place, and as Santosh rightly put, not one footwear can give a complete solution for particular farmer or particular field. So there will be different models, different variation, and very specific, so that everybody who buys, he will have a choice of his use, and that will be the need is satisfied in that way.
Right.
Just to add another point there, it's not that we are selfish and we want to work with wool. As I rightly we put before, wool is in a state of distress. The more people take it up, the more weavers will get benefited, the more livelihoods will
Yes.
be back. So hopefully, because luckily or unluckily we got some press for the shoe. Hopefully people start looking in this direction कि भाई सिर्फ अर्बन के लिए नहीं बनाना, रूरल भी है लोग जो पहनना चाहते हैं. Okay? और सिर्फ प्लास्टिक से नहीं बनाना है, सस्टेनेबल मटेरियल्स भी है. That is, hopefully that is where we want Other Tunes to make an impact. Not that we want to become a $1 billion company in the coming years. So,
Right.
if that happens, it's fine. But yes.
Yeah, great. Nakul, could you start your mic?
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so how was your experience of working with craft and learning new craft and working with the community?
Initially, I felt like it was a time loss during NID because it was the best platform that we could have
Yes.
had. Yeah,
Yes.
because we never utilized our workshops. We never did
were
anything apart from sketching.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
anyway, it's better late than never.
Great.
And, yeah, it's just like any other skill. You struggle at initially, then you get used to it.
In fact, we would like to mention Pranav here. Pranav actually came to
Are haan.
Chennai to teach us stitching. We bought a sewing machine because we were having trouble getting our shoes stitched from outside. No one was willing to touch shoes. There's a social stigma to it. Tailors who work on fabric don't stitch shoes. So we bought a sewing machine. Pranav came to Chennai. He trained us for 3 days. And we learned stitching. In fact, Nakul and Mandy is an expert in stitching now.
There is one saying that people can't imagine what you're dreaming of. You have to show it to them. So
Yeah.
in a lot of things, we had to learn those things first. We had to show them that this is possible. This is how you do it.
And we were very fortunate that, time after time, we, started getting such a positive minded people who were, just waiting ki, okay, we were actually looking for guys like you. So whatever connections we developed throughout the journey, they are like still in contact with us, and they are helping every way possible, from their side.
Great. Okay, we have lots of questions now. So first we'll ask Advait. Can you unmute and ask your question?
Yeah. Hi. Hello, guys. Lovely to see your journey and amazing the way you've done your research and the amount of time you've spent with farmers to understand the problems. It's just amazing. So I'm from LAD 20 batch. I am particularly interested in the final product which you guys have. The main construction of the body is wool, desi wool. What is the material used for the sole?
Sole is PU.
PU.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other boot you showed, the preventing snake bites. Again, that was really fascinating. What was the material and what was the design about?
That we cannot divulge as of now.
Okay.
I mean, we would love to share those kind of ideas and all, but where we are playing right now, which is very open business world, and anything which we say in future
मतलब
will be difficult. But
IIT कल बोलेगा कि तुम लोग पब्लिक फोरम में जाके तुम्हारे कंपनी को बेच के आए हो, तुम बाद में आओ.
Don't worry, you will soon get those kind of shoes, and if you're interested, you can buy it from our website. Don't worry.
Okay.
Sorry.
So this
sorry
is
about that,
No, it's
like this is a great time that like you all are sharing your story before the product is launched. So that's very much in the spirit of your idea, the social enterprise, how you named it, and how you talked about craft and all. Okay.
there was one last.
add?
There was one last question I had.
Yeah.
So what made you arrive at that you want to do something for the farmers or the agricultural industry or something like that? How did you arrive at that?
As I said, at the start of the presentation, all three of us worked on wheelchair prior to this.
Okay.
It opened up our minds to the possibility of design thinking in the social area. And truth be told, इंडिया में नीड ज्यादा है लग्जरी से.
Yeah, true.
मतलब मैं आज if Earthen Tunes doesn't make footwear, good footwear, there's a chance that farmers will walk barefoot. बट अर्बन लोगों के लिए अगर मैं फुटवेयर नहीं बनाया तो वो कुछ और पहन लेगा, वो बाटा पहन लेगा, आदिदास पहन लेगा, नाइकी पहन लेगा. फार्मर के लिए बनाने के लिए कोई नहीं है. ठीक है, तो वैसे यू विल गेट अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स इन इंडिया. दैट इज द ग्रेट थिंग अबाउट इंडिया एक्चुअली. नीड हर जगह पे है. इट इज whether you can get out of your literature and go and talk to them.
Very true.
And there are a lot of such ideas, in past as well, to catering such kind of issue. But we always had in mind that our product should be strong enough to, gain that kind of market value by itself, instead of, depending upon some funding or, some charity money or something like that.
Like an NGO.
And yeah, that is why we pushed it so far. Otherwise, the first product we would have launched much earlier. But since we had that mind ki we have to match the quality no matter what happens,
and that is why buy it because it's a good product. Naki,
yes,
it is. They are doing some good for sustainability. Yeah, they're good doing some charity. They should feel genuinely ki this is on par with what is there.
Yes,
if not better.
True. And like you mentioned, before you gave them the shoes they were using, they would at an average they would use 5 pairs of shoes.
Yes,
what Vidyadhar was saying.
Yes.
So currently, this shoe, what is the rough lifetime, or how long does it last?
See, we are not claiming any time period.
Yeah, but just
yeah, I think it will last for a year.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
that's great. That's great.
The Edition is on par with high performance sports shoes. See, Edition is what happens is when they put their feet in soil, right, and they pull out the shoe, the upper part of the shoe comes off from the sole. This is the main issue with footwear, whether it is slippers, sandals. So to work around that, one thing they do is they wear single molded shoes. Okay, single molded shoes, the whole shoe is molded in one shape. But the quality of that material is so horrible. You can't wear those in extreme temperatures like winter and summer. Forget it. Okay, those things don't have laces. Now there is a counter argument saying that laces hona chahiye, but without laces, the shoes will certainly come off in farm conditions. 100%. Okay. So our shoes are like very cool things. For example, like the lace, you tie it once, you don't need to retie it. Okay. It will hold that shape. You can put down the heel counter. Heel counter is the rear part of the shoe, and wear it like a slip-on also. So I say there are small, clever innovations we have done here and there, so that it's easy for them to wear the shoe. Biggest thing is it doesn't require socks.
Yeah.
Any other shoe which you wear normally would require socks, and if you wear it without socks, what generally happens is you sweat. The great property about wool is it wicks away moisture, so your feet will be fresh for a very long period of time.
It's amazing. Yeah. Thank you. That was
Thank you.
We have Vaibhav, Vivek can ask. Yeah.
Hi guys, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes.
So amazing work. First of all, thank you for this presentation, guys. So I'm from Hisar, Haryana. I come from a family of farmers. Like my grandfather was a farmer. So one thing that I have noticed here is the farmers who are like financially well are the people who do not work in their fields on their own. Actually, they have workers who are not financially that well. So my question is more towards the cycle of your process of research, that is from insights to making them adapt things. When I have tried working with the community, at least for 1 or 2 weeks while I was trying to gain insights, I was an outsider to the community, even when I belong to the same region. And finally, when you make a product and you go to them and say that this will be beneficial for you, especially when it costs like $300-$350. What was your experience while making them adapt to things? That's actually it.
Just to give you an idea, our shoe is way more expensive now.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's 700 to 750 now. But we are confident it will sell because the construction, the way it looks, and the features. As you rightly said, they are an economically sensitive community, but this is not just the one range of shoe which will cater to all of them, right? So there is a concept of I don't know what we could call it in jargon here, but we have observed it happening where the shoe is worn by the owner or the supervisor, right?
Mhm.
Then the people working around him also ask for that shoe.
Oh, okay.
Okay, probably like a trickle down effect is what you can say, right? For example, we sold a shoe to one guy who is like a local influencer in one part of Vathar. Vathar is near Kolhapur, and there were people working around in the field. They also came asking for the shoe. Okay, having said that, this is a wrong notion which most of us have. It is not that every farmer is poor.
Yeah.
Let us come out of this notion to look at farmers as a monolithic structure. They don't deserve fashion, they cannot buy something expensive. These people are buying smartphones.
Mhm.
It is just that you need to make a great product. Okay, I am not saying कि मेरा great product है. Okay, but बहुत लोग पूछते हैं कि फार्मर खरीदेंगे. You make a good product which addresses their needs, खरीदेंगे. लोग ट्रैक्टर्स खरीद रहे हैं, लोग सेल फोन्स खरीद रहे हैं. So there is a possibility. One thing is sure, finding the requirements for them, even though the needs are obvious, finding a sweet spot for them takes perseverance. There is no doubt about it. If you want to make something for rural India, perseverance is 100% required. Yes, they'll kick you out. Yes, they'll tell you nothing will work. Or they'll tell you कि सब ठीक है, बढ़िया चल रहा है. You go and ask them कि भाई कैसी है, सांप काटी? हाँ काटी. दो हफ्ते हुआ, कुछ नहीं हुआ मुझे. But if you keep taking their word on everything, see, not every one of them is concerned. You meet 10 people, you will find the problem in one person. Okay,
Alright.
but still that 1:10 is also a huge ratio. 25 million farmers in India mein. Okay, as a business, if I capture 1%, I am enough. That's enough for me. Okay.
One more thing just to that, as like, most of the NIDians would agree with me, what we develop as a concept, as a test prototype or something, getting it into a business or a market is completely different ballgame. You don't just have to adapt to your user, but you have to adapt to the business strategy as well to make your product and everything sustainable. Like in first place, we tried to make a footwear pair which is appropriate for their use and as affordable as possible as 300 rupees. Why even 300? We would like to give it at a zero cost because they are in a dire need and they need certain product like that, right? But again, we aiming with that price, but to maintain quality, to maintain the concept and be true with our concept. Okay, this is something which we imagine and we want to do something like that. Otherwise, we will be like other brands, who are playing with the materials and bringing their products, and it's another product in a portfolio or in a garbage, something like that. We wanted to be different and do things, and right now most of the things are not in our hand in terms of manufacturing that particular product, but we are pretty sure with respect to time and as we go along, we have certain things in our mind which we want to execute but not possible because of financials and business reasons. But as soon as we will get a chance, we will surely try for that particular prize where not just owner but laborers and everyone belongs to rural area and they don't have that kind of footwear which they're imagining. We will fulfill their dreams.
See, just to give you an idea, see, cost cutting is a constant endeavor, Vaibhav.
Yes.
Okay.
Believing that with one product you can achieve it, I think is probably not the right way to look at it. And giving away something for free is also not a sustainable model. So it is always a sweet spot that you need to find.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
It's a very insightful answer. Thank you.
I'll connect two questions from the chat. One question is from Abhijay. He's asking, will you be looking at CSR kind of a model in the future? And second question is from Sonali. She's asking, as you said, you sold the initial footwear for 350 rupees. 350 rupees itself is a day earning of a farmer who works in the farms. Would you want to know more? How did you really convince them to buy?
Features. You go.
CSR and how
Yeah.
did you sell?
So I'll just answer Sonali's question first. So one thing we did is we wore the shoes and we showed them that this is why it works. There were a lot of instances where the laborers actually were convinced of buying. In fact, few of them bought it also, but it was 100% sure that they love the product. Okay, so one of the ways you can convince is, and which we will be doing in for our first few thousands also, is try to sell it as much as possible through human or word of mouth. Because there is a limitation to which they will actually melt or get convinced for whatever you write on the net or in terms of features. The only way is you go and you show them. If this is why it works, this has this features. And the second thing is, most of the people in Deccan Plateau region recognize this material. Gongadi is something all of them have seen or their ancestors have used. So there were a lot of cases where the shoe was seen by them. They recognize that this is a wool material. They know the properties of it already, and they started canvassing the shoe for us. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and one more thing on the same line. See, this is not just for the farmer. This is not just footwear which can be used in a farming alone. There are a lot of daily requirements. Going to fair, going to buy some errands, and other things and all. And footwear, since it looks trendy and all, it can be used anywhere. And people like the coming generation who is going into farming and all, actually very less people are finding it as a proper occupation. But poor people are going to do something to adhere to that, in terms of they should get good income so that they can follow the farming business, just like their dads and grandfathers likewise. And I think our product is in that step also, because it's not footwear which you can say, okay, it looks so rugged and so horrendous, it can be only used in a farming. It's not like that. It makes such a good appeal that even a youngster like college going student will also use the same product. So there is no boundary on that.
Yeah, just to add what Vidya is saying, generally notion है कि farmer है तो उनके लिए design करने की जरूरत नहीं है. भाई इवन फार्मर डिजर्व्स फैशन, उसको भी डिजायरेबिलिटी होती है, उसको भी अच्छी शूज पहननी होती है. बहुत लोगों ने हमसे पूछा है कि सर आप स्नीकर की तरह क्यों बना रहे हो. क्यों भाई, फार्मर नहीं पहन सकता क्या स्नीकर? तुम्हें पसंद है तो फार्मर को पसंद नहीं आएगी. तो एनीवे, दैट्स second thing. There's a question regarding CSR, right? Yes, we are exploring CSR options. In fact, few angels is the right word, they have approached us saying that they would like to buy our shoes in bulk and give it among people. So yes, there is that happening, but I think that we don't believe CSR is a sustainable option. If Earthen Tunes has to remain a brand for next coming years, it has to sell shoes on its own.
Yes,
Whether it is this shoe or the next shoe, it has to sell.
Okay, I'll move a bit fast, and I'll also suggest you to go fast.
Sure,
Session
sure.
is long. We have a lot of questions, which is a great thing.
Sure.
Amit is here. You can ask your question, Amit. Unmute and ask.
Hello everyone, and first of all, it's an amazing project. I really like it. And my question is about when you guys were pitching for that your product. Yeah, sorry. So when you guys were pitching your product for the incubation center and different organization where you were pitching, like I have this idea, at the time of pitching through a phone call or mail, what helped you in getting noticed? And when you're pitching those idea, were you pitching just idea, that problem which you're solving, or you're the whole business model and revenue model with that also? Is it, what kind of pitch was that? I just wanted to know. And that.
Sure. So this is generic for any startups who are you have to give a business model, and generally there is, in startups also there are trends which are happening. If you follow any startup journals or something, you will see that there are 4 to 5 topics which are constantly in the funding region. For example, fintech, AI, machine learning, EVs. These are all always there, and if you are able to come up with a novel idea in that direction and show a bit of sustainability. See, the thing is, right now the ecosystem is quite good in India. even if the innovation is good enough and you're able to show basic need that there's a requirement here, they'll fund you. So yes, business model is required, and also you can look at what are the trends that are happening. But in our case, ours did not fit any bill. In fact, our recall rate for any of the competitions we apply is very, very less. For all the incubators we applied to 6 to 7 incubators, only IIT got back. Until now, for all the competitions we have applied, only Lexus got back. So we do not fit the bill that is there right now, or people in urban don't perceive that rural people require shoes. I don't know what it is, but yes, we weren't doing that great on the funding end until at least 2 months ago. Now things are looking up, but yes.
Okay. So when you're pitching to these people, you were mailing them about your idea and the business model at the same time.
Yeah. So what they do is they'll give you a presentation format. You just need to fill it slide by slide according to whatever they ask and send it across. It's easy.
Okay.
If you want, I can link it to you later after the presentation is done.
That'll be really great.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and amazing work, team.
Thank you.
Okay, next question is from, let's take Amit Soni's question. How about the scalability of the product? Like India as a country has variety of snakes with many different bite capabilities, intensity of bite, and puncture mark. Have you guys tested it across the range of snakes available or any such plans?
That's a good question, actually. That's the reason we are collaborating with Madras Crocodile Trust.
Yes.
India has a lot of venomous snakes, but there are only 4 snakes which are actually responsible for the maximum number of deaths in India. They're called the Big 4. You can Google it. It's a common krait, saw-scaled viper, Russell viper, cobra. Okay. Out of this, the longest fang is actually by the Russell viper, and the smallest fang is that of the saw-scaled viper. So we have found the limits. So we just need to test our product between these two.
Yeah.
And the great thing about Madras Crocodile Trust is they have models for this. But the challenge here is there are no standards in India for snake bite protection or pierce protection, as a matter of fact. In fact, there is no standard for hypodermic needles also, right? Because needles, snake, something you can find. So that will be a challenge for us to get it certified, tested, and all that. But I think we'll figure out a way. Now that we have IIT and all our backing, we can find a way to get the standards. But that's a good question. Yes, we will be testing across all the range. In fact, we have some digital modeling of some exotic fangs also, like Gaboon viper and all that. So we'll see. That's a very interesting direction, actually. It's happening.
There are lot to say, but we will wait for right time.
Yeah, we can do another session later. Okay. We have a question from Prachi. Wanted to know a little bit more about blended wool material. What was it blended with?
It is blended with a bit of polyester. This is actually also considered a gongadi or a traditional blanket because it's supported by government of Karnataka, and in fact government themselves have installed weaving clusters in rural parts of Karnataka itself. This is done unfortunately because people were perceiving that this wool is rough. ऐसे कर करके इसको demand गिरा दिया. So the artisans were forced to blend it with plastic. But the good thing is there are advantages of doing this. The strength actually increases tremendously if you blend it with plastic, and it is done at a fleece level, not at the yarn level. So yes, so it is blended with plastic.
Yeah, and to that I would like to say ki don't worry, it's not more of a plastic and less of wool. It's majority of material is wool only.
Yeah,
and we're trying our best, find different techniques like double ply and other things, to make wool itself, stronger and adhere to the qualities that we set. And since we are doing this testing, so it's like long time testing and all. So right now we are tested for this particular product. But as we go along, we keep testing. We will get some numbers, which will give us an idea, where to improvise and how to improvise. I mean, how to improvise, we will crack it, but where to improvise. So yeah.
Okay. Next question from Nitin: how did the farmers deal with the acceptance of shoe instead of going barefoot, which they are used to? How was the feedback?
As I mentioned before, I think there was a similar question before also. There is a skepticism. There will also be skepticism in the future, but as someone put it before, it's not just giving a good footwear, but it is also a mindset change, right? And you have to make sure that your product ticks as many boxes as possible in that sense. So what generally happens is, I'll just give an example how the evolution happened. Our previous shoe, it had an issue in the sense that its silhouette wouldn't maintain. Okay, मतलब ऐसे गिर जाती थी shoe. Okay, so the feedback we got from farmers was कि ये strong नहीं दिख रहा है. आप उसको, हालांकि it was decently strong enough. So what we did to that to improve that, we gave it a different layering structure and made sure that the silhouette maintains. Okay. Same shoe, when we showed to farmers again, they started calling it as a safety shoe. Matlab, a shoe which was weak a couple of years ago with just a change in terms of design had suddenly become visually strong. So these are the small nuances you need to understand from them. Second thing, they said कि sir, we took a white shoe also. No, sir, हमें white नहीं चाहिए, दाग दिखते हैं, हमें काला shoe ही चाहिए. So whole of our product range for farmers is black. Okay. Third thing is, yeah, I think those are two. There are a few more I'm unable to recollect now. So this it's a slow process, and yeah, just to iterate, once since we have gone live and we got some press coverage in the newspapers, the maximum number of inquiries we are getting are actually from farmers, which means visually it is making an impact, which wasn't happening with the previous shoe. So it's an iterative thing.
Yeah, and there is one nice story I would like to tell you. See, initially when we were making prototypes, how we are guessing the quality or comfort or whether it is good or not, it is we are making up our own size, my footwear size. So we are first trying it out, then you are designing, developing, and then we are giving it away to the people, right? So at Water, we were just walking by to my farm and meet other farmers as well. And there was one laborer woman. He saw us carrying something which looks like a footwear, and she told us, "Ki, what is that? Are you guys selling something?" We are like, we are not like selling something, but yeah, there is something which you might be interested in, but it's for it's for gents. It's not for women. And she is like, I would like to try. And she she took a pair from her own I mean, she only insisted to let me wear a pair. What's wrong in that? And it wasn't even, it was too big for her feet, but still she managed. And she said, it's nice, it's working, let me work for some time.
3.5 4 hours she worked in the shoe.
Yes,
so people need it. It's just that,
yeah. I mean, most of the things are, we are getting it from people itself. Okay. Of course, we had some idea and all, there is no doubt about it. But most of the stuff is also by people from whom we are designing or interacting with.
Okay. Then one question from Nashit. Have you tested it with different types of soil?
Sorry?
Yes, I mean, she's saying, have you tried testing the typical footwear with different types of soil? So the first pilot which we did it around 3 regions. One is the Western Ghat, Kolhapur, which is very close to Western, and at that time it was very rainy. Second was, a part of Baramati, which is a dry region, and they were doing pomegranate farming, so that soil was different. And one is at Hyderabad level, so Tandur, some people took it. So we have in the future to try out not just about different types of soils, but also for a different farm need different needs. For example, paddy field is most of the time underwater most of the time, so the working scenario there is completely different than like pomegranate farming. And pomegranate farming is completely different from what sugarcane farm is. So likewise, different demographics in terms of soil or field, and different kind of farms. We have taken everything into account during our first pilot.
Okay. Cool. I think we have covered all questions.
Okay.
Anyone else want to share anything? Last thing we can take. Pratish. Okay.
Hi, can you hear
Hi,
me?
Pradesh.
Yes.
Hi,
Yes.
Pradesh. Yes.
Thanks. Hi. Nice to see you guys and good work, damn good work. And I myself, being close to the farmers from the area, Udupi, and nearby to the Western Ghats, I understand this keen concept of revolving into the aspect of the safety. And I'm also from the health sector who look for the safety. We have a retail industry, not industry, sorry. It's a retail shop. We sell shoes, and it's often that I always will be there at our shop, and we could get lots of feedbacks about these things. I'm sure business or marketing is a different ball game. Yes, you are right, and it can be accomplished by any kind of means. The main purpose is to reach it out, but as few have already asked, the feedbacks of the customers. For us, being a retail shopkeepers, it is must to know that what could be the possibilities that those people, farmers, come to us after they buy the shoes. Okay. So it is the only way for now for me to ask is you that what are the feedbacks? Could be with the possibly with the soil or could be with their own experiences. So not only one particular aspect, there could be multiple aspects because they come from nowhere and asking of many other things. So they will also not have a particular reason to question us, but the experiences they will have lot many questions. So right now, just wanted to ask that what is the worst or drawbacks or the bad feedbacks got from the farmers after using your shoes while
Absolutely.
testing?
So the pilot which we spoke about happened before in 2019. Okay. Uh, to see the shoe construction was much different. So most of the shoes we had given, they, I think the upper got torn in max. The wool to got torn in like first couple of weeks. The wool blend got torn in, I think,
2 months or so.
yeah, 2 months or
Hmm.
so. So then we realized actually the construction we did was wrong. We actually stitched the upper to the sole. But the thing with the cloth is it cannot hold a stitch properly, the weave structure. So that is when we researched and we understood that we need to come up with a different shoe construction. So one of the main thing we got is shoe फट गया, हम लोग क्या करें. Second thing is,
In terms of the worst question, people were asking, is it fireproof or whether it'll burn
so yeah,
and whether it'll
like
catch oil stains or something like
oil
that.
stains.
Yeah,
Although
I
clothes,
mean, see what happened during first pilot. Now we were collaborating with a lot of farmers. We are talking, we are meeting, we are on ground. Meeting farm by farm. We are roaming the whole village, and whoever gets on a farm, we'll get to him and tell him, "This is our product. Please try and give us your feedback, or just buy it. Whatever price you quote, we'll give to you. Likewise." And uh, the thing is, we for the first pilot we instructed them use it as hard as possible. We did it purposefully. We know at certain hours is not that 100% foolproof that we are saying, we are claiming something. But since it was pilot, which is meant for testing and all, we tell them to use it as much as possible, as hard condition as possible, as extremely as possible. Most of them used in that way only, and that is why those kind of feedback came back. And we wanted, because we wanted to be genuine with our product. It's not like I'm giving it to some farmer and telling him ki okay तुम बस घर के काम के लिए यूज करना, फार्म तक यूज करना, and just like farm you do your activities, which is not true, right? So in that way we did those things. So we had bad to worst and also good to best feedback, and that the current footwear is developed. And honestly speaking, with the current footwear, even against all odds, we wanted to test proper, give some proper time and all. But I mean, we did lab testing and initial testing by ourselves and all. But in terms of a long term uh, long term project, we haven't done with. So I think with this is also kind of project, but we are pretty much sure about the success of our product, and we have some people which will be in that loop of product development program.
Okay, that's nice to hear. Actually, if
Pratish, we are
yeah,
short time. We have 2 more questions.
yeah, thanks a lot for this answer. I'll keep mailing you
Sure.
on the
Okay.
website. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
Uh,
Pratish. Thank you.
Chaitanya has a question. Is there Chaitanya Tipre? Is there any chemical reaction happening to the shoe material because of different type of fertilizers? Also, some of the actions are done by feet in farms. So, are you thinking of add-ons that can cater to different functions?
Chemical reaction, to nothing we observed or anyone has reported anything. So that no.
As
I would
a
say.
natural fiber, it's very resistant. Okay, to come. I'm just telling you in a comparison. Like if you try a canvas shoe or some kind of a fabric shoe, ours is we are very confident that ours is much stronger than what you see in terms of fabric. But if you're comparing it with the synthetic and all, then I don't know what to say.
Okay.
But to our observation, we haven't have any
No
adverse
one in the
effect or
field
any
has
clip
told
from.
us. Yeah,
Yeah, nobody.
And the
Even
second
though they
thing
are
is,
using these chemical fertilizers and all, nobody came up with the complaint ki, okay, these chemical reactions or something or the other things are happening with your shoe.
so I would say no. And the second
Yeah.
thing, you're saying any add-ons to the shoe?
Yeah.
Actually, this snake bite thing has some interesting possibilities. So we might come up with a model which can be worn over existing footwear also. So we are exploring those things.
See,
Actually,
one more reason why we said ki there will be different variations of product with respect to need and all is because we don't want to put everything in one shoe. Like snake bite in one shoe, all field, any soil, any environment or any farm type is not possible with a single shoe. What will happen if you keep every feature in a single shoe, then it will become very difficult or financially viable to have that product even exist. The good thing is ki we can take care of specific needs and develop different footwear. Likewise, ki we have right now segregated ki okay, snake footwear will be a complete different segment itself, and farmer foot will be completely different segment itself. And throughout the time, as we get feedback from the people and we start exploring different things, some of the variations will come
that's
with
true,
the time.
because not everyone wants snake bite protection. It is only people who live in specific belts, they want snake bite protection. Not everyone wants shoes which are knee until the knees. A lot of people are into horticulture or fruits, so they don't need feet which will go, shoes which will go. So it is important that you consider, again, understand farming, how diverse it is. It is diverse. हम लोग जैसे डिजाइनर्स में यूजर रिसर्च करते हैं ना, वैसे यूजर रिसर्च फार्मर्स के लिए भी जरूरत है. एक शू नहीं चलेगी.
Okay. Last question, and I think very good question to like sum up. So this is question by Chaitanya Solanki, who just dropped out because उसका light चला गया and Wi-Fi router is stopped working. He messaged me on WhatsApp. The question is, according to your journey, what would you advise to the young designers who have who want to work with social innovation, but they have pressure of getting job and all from home? And additional to that, the question is, what would you say about the power of different designers coming together for a cause? For example, innovating for farmers and all. So last 2 questions.
I don't think we are at a level that we can give life advices. So if someone has financial problems, I think we are not the one to comment on those. But one thing I can tell you is, all of us can vouch for, is the gratification is something else. The experience is something else of just going out. India, मुझे लगता, मतलब NID is the closest I have ever come in a education institute which actually aligns you towards what India is. But any other institute, engineering, वो सब काफी वेस्टर्न इन्फ्लुएंस्ड है, सैडली. तो तुम्हें एक्चुअली इंडिया का पोटेंशियल जानना है, उसका ब्यूटी जानना है, तो ओनली वे यू कैन डू इज गो एंड स्पेंड टाइम विद पीपल, क्योंकि नथिंग इज डॉक्यूमेंटेड एनीवेयर. इट इज अनफॉर्चुनेट. हमने बिदरी आर्ट देखी, हमने महाबलीपुरम में स्टोन क्राफ्ट देखी, हमने you've seen the kind of crafts,
Kolhapuri chappals and all.
You will find horrible documentation of it or biased documentation of it. you can never assume that a Westerner will understand what this craft stands for. And it is unfortunate if you are going to read a journal about the benefits of wool from a Westerner. तुम्हें कॉन्फिडेंस होना चाहिए कि हमारी मटेरियल काम करेगी, एंड इफ यू गो विद दैट नोशन टू इंडिया यू कैन डू अ लॉट ऑफ वंडरस थिंग्स. वो एक है. सो प्रॉब्ली व्हाट आई वुड टेल डिजाइनर्स इज थोड़ा बेहौन से ये सब छोड़ दो और go out and talk to people. Actually there's a lot of stuff happening, lot of stuff, and if we don't act now, crafts will be lost and you will not even know that they existed.
Or some foreigner will come and he will find that
exactly, Germans will come and patent our stuff. So it's very embarrassing actually. बाहर लोगों को नहीं बताना चाहिए कि तुम्हारे क्राफ्ट अच्छे हैं. तुम जाओ, तुम बताओ. And that's why you need to appreciate people like MP Ranjan and all. Whatever, you need to bow down to them. They did stuff when no one else could see. But even we as transportation designers had horns on our head saying कि India में क्या है. Okay, now we realize how stupid we are. India में ही है. मतलब not to brag, मैं और मतलब we have been to Europe. Not that I'm saying कि we are experts that we know what Europe is. हमने देखा है कि यूरोप में क्या है और इंडिया में क्या है. Okay, there are a lot of possibilities in India. Second thing is cross collaboration. Absolutely, we as a batch were lucky enough to have people who are like very close knit. So whenever we ask for help from our batchmates, they've always extended their hand. So we worked with Pranav. Pranav is a footwear and apparel designer. He helped us with making shoes. We worked with Solanki, who is again a photographer, but he has a lot of good insights. We worked with Sethi, who's again comes from lifestyle accessory design. So वैसे हमारे transportation में तो हर कोई they give us advices on what could be improved. That has always been there. But I think as potential as designers coming together, I think we can do amazing things because designers are the only people who can give a vision. तुम बाहर कहीं पे भी corporate में जाओ, execute करने वाले बहुत मिल जाएंगे तुम्हें, vision देने वाले बहुत कम लोग हैं. So when we also teach. We generally teach in Voxen and all. That is what we try to encourage people कि think big. Think big, not कि अगर उसने SpaceX बनाया तो मैं इंडिया में SpaceX बनाऊंगा. नहीं, that is not big. You need to find what India needs and make what it is big. That is, we don't know what it is. See, the greatest solutions are the one that you can't see now. अगर तुमने अभी solution देख लिया, it means कि वो already existing है. हमने जब शुरू किया था, we did not know whether we'll make a shoe, whether we'll make a sock, whether we'll make a stick. We don't know. That is the beauty of the process. That is what was taught to us in design process. You shouldn't see the solution.
But we are confident about one thing, that if you try, go out from your home and look around, there are a lot of things which needs your attention as a designer's attention. So it's not like it will be very difficult to find कि क्या बनाना है, क्या नहीं बनाना है. There are a lot of such things, you just keep your eyes open, be more aware about your surrounding, and you will eventually find it.
बस design process follow करो, सब आ जाएगा.
And look for people like we are at this stage, so we are giving this advice and all. But for us, likewise, there are a lot of people which we benchmark ourselves with. Santosh, you can give out some names from that I Have a Dream book.
Yeah. So yes, there is a great book called I Have a Dream. In case you guys are free, you can read it. It's by Rashmi Bansal. It talks about social enterprise in India and how people have done some amazing things. So our biggest inspiration is the person who founded Sulabh.
Sulabh Shauchalaya.
Yes, Sulabh Shauchalaya. So he's a Pathak. I forgot his full name. And then there is another person called Handa. Sunil Handa hai. Harish Handa.
Harish Handa. Mm-hmm.
Founder of Selco. So these people have put their lives into it. Harish Handa supplies solar lamps for rural India. He has been doing this since 1995. मतलब 1995 में कोई सुना ही नहीं था solar क्या है.
I mean, he can convince a 10,000 rupee product to a beggar. Now you just look back and see his story and all, how he did all those impossible things, And I will say one of his saying, which was really great. I mean, in a financial or MBA student, they might have heard about this. Unilever sells ₹1 sachet like Clinic Plus, and you pay the biggest his because they made a billion rupees or dollars through that particular income. But his take on that particular thing is ki, see, you took that ₹1 from lower strata of economical people, very grassroots level, which who have very lower income in that terms. Okay, but what you did in terms of increasing their daily income so that you can get a portion out of it. So it's not you made a business, you actually made them poor by ₹1 or that particular amount of a whole strata. So when we are thinking about giving a solution, make sure ki okay, he's buying your particular product, but your product also be worthy of that price, right?
So हाँ,
so there are a lot of such exemplary people, you just have a look at them, their journey, their struggle, and how they become successful. That might motivate you to go further.
Bindeshwar Pathak is the founder of Sulabh. His
Yeah.
story is inspirational, and Selco, Harish Handa. And other great guy whom we all know is Sonam Wanchuk,
Yes.
known by Three Idiots. I was lucky enough to meet him in person.
Oh.
Yes. मतलब वो benchmarks है. अगर if we are able to reach 50% of what he does, काफी.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think it has been very insightful session, and main part is like restoring faith and looking back into like India and the potential of it, and looking at design process and where it can take us. So amazing. Thank you, Earth and Tunes team, Santosh, Nakul, Vidyadhar.
Thanks,
Thank
It
you
was
as well.
amazing. Yeah.
Thanks everyone.
Okay, and thank you in the audience also, everyone for joining and enriching the conversation. And see you then. We meet again the next session. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you, everyone.
Thank